Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this copywriting guide, you're going to get 7 done-for-you copywriting templates, including a complete framework for your landing and sales pages when you stick around till the end. Timestamps below, along with some other helpful videos to getting your funnel, landing pages, and of course sales page up and running from a technical aspect. So as we dive in here, what the heck is the difference between copywriting and then just normal plain old website writing that we would normally do? And the easiest way to describe these as we dive into these formulas is copywriting is all about your ideal customer, whereas most web copy winds up being about the business, the product, and the service, which people actually don't care about. They care about themselves, their problems, their roadblocks, and we care about their objections. They don't care about their objections, but I'll get to that in a moment. So when it comes to copywriting, those are the 3 things that we need to think about and focus on as we use these headline formulas, bullet formulas, and ultimately the landing page and sales page framework. We want to make sure that we're always talking about our ideal customer in terms of the results and benefits that they're after. We're always talking about the struggles and roadblocks that they're working towards or working over to overcome. They're not working towards them, right? They're working to overcome them. And then number 3, what we care about is that little voice in the back of our customer's head saying, you shouldn't buy this product because of XYZ, blah, 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 don't buy it, you'll never be successful, right? So we also want to overcome those back of mind objections as well. Your ideal customer cares about the first 2, the results and roadblocks, and you care about the 3rd one, which is their objections. Now, as we dive in here, before we go into the first formula, which is going to be how to, there are a couple of different types of objections you can think about that will actually apply to pretty much almost any product or service. So there'll be something along the lines of, it's too expensive, it will take too long to see results, I've tried something like this before, my friends and family will laugh at me if I try or if I fail. And then of course, yeah, but I'm too old, I'm too young, or my situation's XYZ, right? The little voice in the back of our ideal customers' heads is always telling them why your product or service isn't a good fit and why they can't be successful. So it's our job with the sales copy and the formulas we're about to go over to remove those objections and of course show them they can actually achieve the results that they want. Okay, so with that out of the way, that's enough copy foundation. We'll go through more details in the last section. Let's jump right in. The very first headline formula we have is how to without. So our example here is from Neil Patel, how to generate 195,113 visitors a month without spending $1 on ads. So in this particular example, Neil is talking about a result that his ideal customer wants, which is a lot of website traffic, without something that they think they have to do, which is spend a lot of money on ads. Now there are actually 3 different variations of this headline, and then we'll go through some more concrete examples. So we have how to even if, how to without, which is the one we just went through, or how to so you can. So jumping to all of these examples, this is how these formulas would play out. So essentially when we want to talk about a result that our ideal customer wants, in this particular instance, I'm going to go with the example of someone trying to grow a YouTube channel. So they want to grow their channel, they want to outsource time-consuming things, they want to rank their videos, of course, get more views. And then we're going to remove the roadblocks or pain points that they think they have to deal with in order to get that result that they want. So we're going to say things like without getting lots of views, or even if you think your video quality stinks right now, or even if you have a small channel. And then so you can is a great phrase. This is going to be one of your best friends, these 3 words when it comes to sales copywriting, because it answers the question, so what? So you can grow your channel. How to grow your channel? Okay. Why do I ultimately care, right? And this comes down to really taking a deeper dive and understanding why your ideal customers want to achieve a specific result, and allows you to stand out from the crowd because ultimately you want to speak directly to your ideal customer and pretty much alienate everyone else. The more your copy alienates other people, the better it's going to perform with your ideal customer. And so you can is how you speak specifically to the ultimate benefits or results that someone wants. For example, here we have so you can grow a channel part-time, which is directly speaking to people who currently still have a part-time or full-time job and are trying to do YouTube on the side versus someone who's already all in on YouTube and is just looking to accelerate some success that they've already had. So the next formula is one of my favorites, and it's allowed me to. So this next example actually comes from one of our landing pages, the content funnel that allowed me to generate 4,447 leads in 90 days without spending a dime on ads. So you can see that this particular headline formula is following a very similar format. It's talking about a result that was achieved. We're using a specific number. That's another cool thing you can do, is make sure that when you're using numbers, make them very specific, as long as they're real, right? Because if I had just said 4,000 leads, well, it's not as convincing as saying the exact number of leads that we were actually able to generate. So even if it winds up being a lower number, it's better to have an exact number, because whoever's reading your landing page is much more likely to believe that that was an actual event as opposed to something that was just pulled out of thin air. And of course, we're using without because we're talking about something that they think they have to do, which is spend money on ads. So there are 3 different ways we can go through using this headline formula. We have allowed me to, allowed us to, and then of course allowed blank to. Now blank, you'll fill in the blank with your ideal customers, essentially social group, right? So we could say allowed YouTubers to, or allowed part-time freelancers to, or allowed stay-at-home moms to, or allowed dog enthusiasts to. So you can pretty much, anything under the sun is going to work as long as your ideal customer would identify with that. Now, the reason that you would use that particular formula is if you haven't personally achieved the results and you're pointing to case studies of other people who followed a process. As long as it's real, it's okay if you point to other people. So here's some more examples of how to use these formulas using our YouTube example. And jumping down to the third one here, you can see the blueprint that has allowed thousands of small creators to go full time. So this would be an example if we were doing some sort of report or case study as a free offer on our landing page, and we're going through other channels and pointing to what they've done in order to achieve the success that they've achieved. And so it's okay when you point to other people, as long as the offer is very clear that you're actually going to be showing how other people did it, not necessarily you. Now, of course, if you've achieved the results, this headline formula is a lot easier to use. As you can see with the first one, the weird video campaign that allowed us to double our subscriber growth in 30 days, right? And of course, if you can add in and then a time frame, that's also a very great way to handle some objections. One of the most common ones being, it's going to take way too long, right? So as long as you can say 30 days or 90 days, obviously if it's going to be like 120 or a year, you probably don't want to include a time frame in your headline formula. So the third and final headline formula we have here is going to be the blank way to. So we have an example here from Frank Kern and one of his webinars, and he's using new, so the new way to create webinars and promote webinars that sell. Now, when it comes to what you use for new, it could be the new, the best, the fastest, whatever descriptor works best for whatever your product or service or free offer is. Of course, make sure that your free offer or your product or service is actually something new, or the fastest way to, or the most efficient, or the most effective, or secret, or little known, right? So as long as it's secret or little known to most people in your niche or industry, then it's gonna work. Obviously, if you're teaching something that's really common knowledge to your ideal customer, don't say secret or little known, because they're going to look at the page and just go, well, yeah, of course, I already know that. This isn't anything new, right? So you do wanna make sure that you use the proper descriptors. So again, here are some examples about trying to grow a YouTube channel. So we have the new way to rank YouTube videos as a small channel. Then we have the new recording technique small YouTubers are using to make studio quality videos on a budget. And then finally, the fastest way to get more views to your videos. And then even if, so we're taking something from the first headline formula, you have less than 5,000 subscribers right now. And I really like that example because we're saying even if you have less than 5,000 subscribers, so we're clearly calling out who the offer is for, and we're clearly removing a common objection that a lot of small creators might have that say, oh, well, this isn't gonna work unless I have X number of subscribers. So we're saying, hey, 5,000, and it's okay that it's a round number in this particular instance, because when we're talking about subscribers, it wouldn't make sense to say 4,953 or something like that, right? So we're not talking about a result, we're talking about subscribers as a way to identify a prospect group, and that's why it's okay that it's a rounded number. So hopefully you're getting some value and you're starting to see the potential of these 3 headline formulas. Go ahead and hit that like button. If you want some more headline formulas, I'll link up in the cards in the description to a video that goes goes through a lot more headline formulas than these, because now it's time to go ahead and jump into bullet points. So we have 3 different types of bullet points. And as we go in here, dive in here, bullet points are hard to write. One of the best ways to understand how to write bullet points is to actually go through an exercise similar to what we're about to do and just go to competitor landing pages or other successful landing pages that you really like and really try to break down what is being offered in terms of the objections being handled, the results being promised, and of course, the roadblocks or pain points that are being removed. So you're just looking for those 3 elements every time you go through this process. So our first bullet point here is going to be learn. And even though this looks blank and confusing, we're going to fill it out one by one so it makes perfect sense. So we have learn how to blank so you can something that blank again. So we'll go ahead and fill in some examples here. So we can say, learn how to create, build, leverage, utilize, tap into, so you can, action that they will take or action, something they want to be able to do that will give them the result that they want. So here's a full example here from Digital Marketer. Learn how to create your ideal customer avatar so you can architect a content strategy that easily attracts leads and customers. So you can see we're telling them you're going to learn this so you can do that so you can enjoy this, right? So we're logically going through, you get this, which means you're going to be able to do this, which means you're going to be able to do this. So it's kind of like a logical domino, but of course we wouldn't want a bullet point that just went ahead and said, learn how to easily attract leads and buyers, right? That's not going to be as powerful because then we're just listing out a bunch of results that people want, as opposed to actually starting to show them how simple the process is actually going to be, and we're meeting them where they are as opposed to jumping to the end result that they're looking for. So our second bullet point here is going to be peek behind the curtain at our, fill in the blank, whatever you want to call it, most blank, so you can, again, model our strategy to blank, right? So let's go ahead and fill this in. Peek behind the curtain at the biggest, best, new, secret, and then most successful, profitable, speedy, and then fill it in with whatever the object or unique mechanism is, so you can model our strategy to build your own, right? And I just filled in build your own because that works in a lot of niches, but you of course can tweak it to whatever works for you. So we'll go to the final one here, peek behind the curtain at our biggest, most successful blog posts so you can model our strategy to build your own. And of course, you can go ahead and move all of the words around as much as you'd want. These are just some bullet point formulas to help you get started. Again, this is another example from Digital Marketer. So our last one's actually going to come from the financial niche, and this is going to be access to. And this is a great bullet point for a sales page or for a checkout page when you're just trying to push them over that last little hump before they finally decide to buy. So here we have access to the, and then just give whatever you're providing a name, which provides you with the blank and blank we personally use to blank, right? So if we went ahead and filled this in, access to whatever the unique name of what your offering is, which provides the tools, secrets, resources, and more tools, more secrets, more resources we personally use to achieve XYZ result. So if we put all of this together, access the EVG exclusive Rolodex, which provides you with the contact information for all of our investment partners and service providers we personally use to protect and grow our wealth. And of course, this is something that you can use for your landing pages, your sales pages, and of course your checkouts. And you can of course deconstruct and move all of the words around as much as you want, but hopefully those are some examples to help you get started with your bullet point writing. And because we were talking about YouTube, let's go ahead and do one final fast round of some other bullet point formulas you can use, because there is no limit on how many different ways you can actually write a bullet point. So what you're looking at here is a couple of other examples. You'll see they can actually start to look very similar to our headline formulas. And to a certain extent, you can actually use headline formulas as your bullet point formulas. Of course, you don't want to do the reverse because bullet points tend to be a lot longer. And these particular examples are great for landing pages because they're short and sweet and to the point, whereas sales pages, you're much more likely to have a longer bullet point like number 3. So timestamps below, of course, to come back to this and the other formulas. Now it's time for number 7, which is actually going to be a complete framework and exercise to help you go through and fill in the blanks for all of the headlines and bullet points that we've already gone through. So we're going to use something called the AIDA framework, and this stands for attention, interest, desire, and action. And so what you're going to do is want to use these elements on every landing page and sales page that you create. Now, before we go through all of these and actually go through an example of what this looks like in real life for a landing page, let's take one step back and go through an exercise to help you come up with all of the results and objections and roadblocks your ideal customer might have. So as you go through writing these, you probably want to do this exercise at least 10 to 20 minutes before you start using all of these formulas to really make sure you nail down exactly what the results and roadblocks are that you want to talk about. So here's the exercise, of course, keeping with our YouTube example. So the first question you want to ask is, what results are they after? And then what is the perceived roadblock? So what specifically needs to change in order for them to achieve those results that they're looking for? So someone trying to grow a YouTube channel, they probably want to be full-time, wake up and make videos on their own schedule, make a full-time income on YouTube. Of course, we want to go quite a bit deeper than this, but for example purposes, that's enough. So what do they think is getting in the way? Well, they probably think they need more views to their videos. They need their channel growth overall to go faster, so it's not going to take 10 years to get to where they want to go. They want to improve their video quality. They think maybe they're not growing fast enough because their videos aren't up to snuff, right? And then finally, get ranked for important keywords. Now, this next slide here, you can see how we can actually take all of those results and roadblocks and put them directly into our headline formulas. So that's why this exercise is so powerful when used in conjunction with all of the formulas you've just learned. Because as you can see, it starts to just be plug and play. You try different results, you try different roadblocks and headaches and objections, and as you go through creating your landing pages and your split testing, you'll eventually find the perfect combination. And speaking of the perfect combination, here's how you actually want to take all of this copy and properly format it on a landing page or a sales page. So we're going to be going through a landing page, but what you would do is you take this exact same format and you pretty much 2 or 3x it for a sales page because you're looking to actually make a sale versus just asking for a name and email. It generally takes a little more copy to make a sale than just ask for a name and email, right? So here is the AIDA framework broken down. So first we have at the very top attention. This is going to be your headline and your subheadline. You're going to build interest using those bullet point formulas. You're also going to add some images and customer testimonials if you have them. If you don't, that's okay. We'll get to what to do instead. Number 3 is going to be building desire around whatever you're offering. You're going to use more reviews, testimonials, trust seals, and any media endorsements that you have. Again, if you don't have those, that's okay. And then finally, we're going to have a clear call to action for the page. So our example here is from mindvalley.com, and this is for a webinar registration to learn how to essentially design your ideal life. So you can see here, we have all of those key elements at the top minus desire. So we have a headline that grabs attention. We have a subheadline that clearly communicates the offer. We have the clear call to action. And the only thing we're missing above the fold is interest and desire. So if you're creating a landing page or a squeeze page, it's okay if your page looks just like this and you skip the interest and desire. The only thing I would recommend doing is trying to add at least 3 bullet points. You want your bullet points to be odd numbered. Just for some reason, odd number bullet points seem to convert better. So have 3 bullet points or 5 bullet points for your landing page. And then of course, if you're doing a sales page, you're probably gonna have way more than 5, right? But just try and keep it an odd number. So 7 and keep going, right? So scrolling down the page, they actually have a complete section dedicated to interest. So they have a video that builds some rapport and curiosity around what the webinar is about. They have their 8 bullet points, even though I just said you should have an odd number. You can see the last one just says and more. And then they have images that clearly illustrate the benefits of what someone's going to learn on the webinar, which is essentially a better relationship with their family, their children, and of course, business success as shown in the first picture. And then for desire, they have a bunch of testimonials from experts. Now, of course, if you don't have media seals, if you don't have testimonials yet, that's okay. It's okay to skip the section, or you can use yourself as somewhat of a testimonial. So you can have 2 to 3 sentences, absolute max. You're not making a story here. You can have a picture of yourself and 2 to 3 sentences on how whatever you're offering has made an impact in your life or your client's life. Of course, if that's not really true, then you go ahead and skip this section altogether. But it's not going to kill your conversions if you don't have any testimonials yet. This is part of getting started with marketing and business, right? And then at the very bottom of the page, we have one final call to action for someone to enter their name and email, and reiterates the benefit of signing up for the webinar. So this is a great example of how to apply the AIDA framework to your landing page or your sales page. And of course, you have lots of bullet point and copywriting formulas to play with for all of the copy that needs to go on this page. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this video. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dive copywriting and marketing videos just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.